Watchers on the Couch. We are the voices that guide the realms of men. We are the Night's Watch. Hello and welcome back. I'm your host, Cal the Kingslayer, and as always, I have the lovely people from House Oddship Channel, Lord Tom and Lady Kimber. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hello, good sir.
It's another week, and we're going to be talking about season two. No, not season 2. Episode 2 of season 8.
You said season 2, and Eric in the chat was like, "Yes."
It's a lie. Surprise. But yeah, episode 2 of season 8, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Right? That's what's called. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But before we get started, let's go. Oh, thank you. It's the Star Wars.
That's cool.
Thing. Like, cool. I want to kind of switch it up because you guys, I know somebody's going to be always wearing the Night's Watch shirt. I think
I'm wearing it tonight.
You have it tonight, and I think Jeff has it, so I got to switch it up. So, but let me say hi to people in chat. Of course, we have an Oddship Channel. Eric, welcome. Kimber as well. Rochelle, how are you doing? And TJ, welcome, guys. Yeah, so before we get started, as always, we'd like to talk about if it's anybody's birthday or name day, as we like to call it here. So we'd like to wish a happy name day on Monday. It was Molly's birthday, or name day, so happy name day to Molly. And then yesterday was Morgan's name day, as well as Darwin's name day. So happy name day to Darwin and Morgan from all of us here at the Night's Watch. Welcome, Vicky, as well.
Well, Vicky.
And Will, how are you? So, as always, we'd like to also start with the Take the Blacks Man wear. So, if you purchase a Night's Watch shirt designed by a very good friend of ours, Janine, at G9 Designs, you can be featured on the show. So, just send us a picture of you wearing it. And here is Halo_Smythe wearing it. So, Halo_Smythe is also another streamer here on YouTube and Twitch. She can be seen streaming mostly every day except for Mondays and Wednesdays. So check her out on YouTube and Twitch. That's Halo_Smythe. And like I said, everyone who's mentioned on today's show, their links are usually in the description below. So before we get started on the episode, any general thoughts about how you felt? Like, because, you know, we're always saying that there's going to be like a slow episode and there's going to be boom, 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 pickup. But we're kind of like I know some people were very let down, but I really, really enjoyed this episode. That's all I'm going to say about it right now. I really enjoyed it. Because I always enjoy the character dynamics and dialogue between them. But how did you guys feel about it? Did you think it was going to be – was it a letdown because you were expecting more action and all that? Or
I wasn't let down at all. Me and Kimber are actually talking about it in the car, and I think she said it best. And I'll let you
I think that when we lose all these characters and when the show is over, this is going to be the episode that a lot of people find themselves going back to relive the good moments and the happy times, because there was just a lot of great – character scenes like you were talking about. And I know a lot of people are more interested in like the fighty punch stuff with Game of Thrones and the stabby stab, but for me, like, the thing that's always interested me is the politics of the show as well as the great characters, and they really like gave us both here in this episode. And especially as a fan of Brienne, which I'm sure we'll get to, I thought this one was really beautiful and had a lot of great moments, and like just like, you know, it's the calm before the storm because we all know where it's going next week. But I really appreciated them giving us some closure to have a nice moment with these characters before we lose a bunch of them.
That being said, 3 or 4 character arcs were wrapped up.
Yeah, so a lot of them are going down.
That's concerning because that means they're...
You're like, oh, that's nice. They're dead next week. Like, that's how it felt a lot.
You know, it was kind of funny, too. Well, before I said what I had to say, I'd say some people in the chat say Eric saw it was a fantastic episode. Vicky liked it too. He just says it's a great episode. The hype machine is churning. There's a lot of tearful moments. And Eric says the fighting is coming, so that is true. Even
he liked it later because she took out his boy. So
allegedly.
No one's dead until they're dead in the show. That's what I say.
Welcome, Rain.
Hey, girl. Hey, what's up, Rain? In the background, wait, is that Sandor Clegane? I don't think I've ever noticed that. Is that Sandor Clegane over your Kimber's, I guess, left shoulder it is?
Yes.
Yes, my dad sent me that for my birthday. So
that's new, right? I don't think I've ever seen that.
We just haven't had it displayed. It's been
okay.
there for a while. But
Nice.
it's pretty
I
cool.
like it.
Thank you.
I thought you were talking about our other Sandor clicking.
Yeah, that's also.
I've seen that before. Yeah, I've seen that.
I love that thing.
And welcome Jeff as well.
I like that.
Nice watch.
He's a good character.
TJ says Stannis is going to show up to fight Melisandre. I do have some news though. Tom, do you have any breaking news music for us?
What?
You know how you always do the music on Odd Shape channel. The
sorry.
There's some breaking news. I heard it on the radio today. If you are having a baby or planning to have a baby, if you spend $85, you can get a dragon egg gender reveal egg or whatever you want to call it. So it opens up with like either blue or pink powder in it. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. If I ever have a baby, I'm gonna get that. I don't know if you burn it and smoke comes out because that'd be cooler.
Cal's gonna buy both. So when he has a kid one day, he's got.
Well, I gotta buy two.
Twin boys and then,
I always collect one and I use one, so I think buy two of each probably.
Cal, you still?
I have some breaking Game of Thrones news as well that I was just reading. You know how they were doing several prequel shows in development or spin-off shows? One of them just completely died in production today. And it's not the Long Night one because that's confirmed. So it's probably because they're continuing to move forward with that. But one of their shows who like Martin was helping write and had like a director who's done some of the more memorable episodes, including this episode, that show's completely off the table now. So that's another one of those biting the dust.
But I thought the last they said was like they were gonna have 5, but they're only doing 1 of the 5. I thought that was the last that they said of it.
Well, this was one that they were still kind of messing with and doing things with, and they just stopped now. And the director who did this episode, he said that he's like completely done with all of Westeros. You won't be seeing him work on anything again. So it doesn't sound like it ended on good terms.
No. I feel bad, man. I hope it's not Miguel Sapochnik because he's great. He's the one who does like all the battle.
No, it was not. He directs next week's episode.
It would be interesting if they did multiple series, but like only like 1 season or 2 seasons long each. You know what I mean? This way.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
DC different times. I don't know.
Eric's asked Aegon's Conquest. We're not sure yet about what the details are.
That would have been way cooler than the Long Night. That's my biggest complaint is that the Long Night is like the boringest thing that they could have chosen for a theme. It would have been
I want Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So
yeah, Dunkin' Egg.
Dunkin' Egg. But I don't know. I would like anything because I'm such a huge fan. I would like to see anything. It doesn't matter to me as long as I'm back in that world. I would love it. Yeah, exactly.
Somebody.
I think we got to get them next.
Okay. Real quick, somebody made like a Game of Thrones anime thing like a while ago, and I would watch the hell out of that if it was like it's like they did it to Supernatural. They just remade the series as an anime.
They did it to Doctor Who as well.
But I would watch it many times. All right, let's start.
I want to see the Siege of Storms. Yep, that'd be awesome. All right, so on to season 8, episode 2. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So there's gonna be a lot of images, so I'll probably need some vamping time from you guys. But it's the episode. Oh yeah, I forgot to get my iPad. But the episode started out with Jamie Lannister's in front of the most of the Starks and bannermen that are honored to the Starks or sworn to the Starks. His trial. Let me just get my iPad because I have notes in it. Be right back. It's right here next to me though. You can probably still hear me as I talk to get it.
Cal?
Yeah, I figured Cal would like this episode because it was very Jamie Lannister-ish.
Yeah, will he be my champion, though? We don't know. We don't know yet.
Oh, that's the thing. There's
only one champion this episode.
I know, and I know who your champion's going to be. It's probably going to be the same one as mine. Possibly. But we'll see. Jamie Lannister says trial for his crimes against Daenerys. She says, this is what we saw in the preview as well. I always was talked about the man who my brother told me stories about the man who killed our father and what we'd probably do if we ever met him again. He actually does report about Cersei's treachery, how she's not sending men. Tyrion speaks up for him, but Sansa speaks against him, saying you're the one who fought my father in the streets and all that kind of stuff. You're not a good person. But then Bran also chimes in and goes, he goes, I know I've done a lot of bad things to you. Jamie says this. I've done a lot of bad things to you, but I do it again because and I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize. I'll do them again because I did it for my family. And then Bran chimes in and says, the things I do for love. Jamie then tries to pledge his honor to Dany, and because he wants to keep his word and fight for the living. They're still not having it until Brienne speaks up for Jamie's honor and vouches for him. Sansa accepts him because she's like, I believe in everything that Brienne says. I owe my life to her. And Brienne was saying, like, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jamie arming me and giving me armor and helping me fulfill the oath that he made to your mother. So she accepts him. Sansa accepts him, and then Dany turns to Jon, and Jon accepts him as well, because we'll need all the men we can get. So in that moment, then Dany says, okay. They give back his weapon. And I'm pretty sure that's Widow's Wail. That was Joffrey's old sword, the other Valyrian steel sword, because they made 2 Valyrian steel swords out of ice. One is melted down, one being Widow's Wail, the other one being Oathkeeper. Oathkeeper was given to Jamie. Jamie then passed it to Brienne. So now Jamie, I guess, inherited Widow's Wail after Joffrey died. Next image we see, I guess, Dany in her court walking out, and Dany's very upset at Tyrion because she believed she believed him because he believed in Cersei, and Tyrion believes, hey, I don't think I have much time as the Hand anymore, so you guys better get ready to take my place. The next scene opens up with Arya in the forge as she's returning to Gendry for the weapon that she completed. He's like, why, I have all this other stuff to do. I got to make all these other weapons. You could wait a little bit. And she's very inquisitive about the army of dead, like how many he's fought, how they fight, what kind they are, like, what they do. And then she shows off her skills and demands her weapon by her throwing those dragon glass daggers into the wall, or like, I guess, a wooden beam. So what are your thoughts so far on this episode going up to now, just for the trial? And there were some really good moments, really good one-liners from the beginning to what we got to right now. So your thoughts so far?
Well, I'm excited because Randall's here.
Hello, Randall. Welcome.
Hey, Randall. I was going to say that the Jamie and Brienne, with Brienne standing up for him, that was really beautiful. I loved that a lot. That was like the first of many times I got very choked up in this episode, because those two have been through so much together, and it was nice for her because, he stood up for her, and he did lose his hand because of it. And it was nice for her to have a chance where she was in a position where people listen to her now and trust her opinion. And she could say, listen, I vouch for this guy. He saved my ass. And, the least I can do is tell you that he is a man of honor despite his reputation. So I did think it was really beautiful. That was one of my favorite moments.
I kind of wish they got into the whole burn them all thing, but that might be brought up later, and that'd be cool. Other than that, yeah, everything Kimber said and more.
I think if he did bring up burn them all, it would have been looking kind of like, I think Dany would have got pissed.
Yeah, it wasn't the time for that, for sure.
But I was wondering if Brienne was going to bring it up.
No.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think Jamie would. I thought Jamie did say something. Did he say saving 1 million people? I think he could have. I could have sworn he said something like that. He's like, I did save 1 million people. Let's not forget that, or something. I'm not sure, but maybe I just heard that in my head because I hear a lot more that Jamie said than someone else hears.
He's definitely said that in the series. I don't know if he said that in this episode. I could be wrong.
Speaking of Jamie, though, the next scene does involve him meeting the person he tried to save in the initial pilot, Bran. Bran is profusely thanking him for trying to save him, for falling out the window in this scene. He also says, I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for you, nor would you be the man you are today if it wasn't for what, tried to do. But yeah, Jamie asks, why didn't you tell them about my crime? And he goes, now's not the time for judgment, that will come. Oh, we need you for this war. He goes, but what about after? He goes, who said there's going to be an after? So kind of foreboding that what could possibly happen to Jamie, even though I think he might live through this tomorrow, next fight. We'll see. Jamie reunites with Tyrion, and they're talking about Dany and Cersei and how they're, they kind of been fooled. And is Cersei really pregnant? And he says, yes, she really is. Jamie then says Brienne and says, hey, listen, I'm not. He has kind of a nice little talking. She goes, what do you want? Why aren't you making fun of me yet? And he's like, why would I make fun of you? He's like, because you always talk to me and make fun of me. It hasn't been like 5 minutes would go by that you haven't made fun of me when we've had a conversation. He goes, actually, I came to Winterfell specifically to fight for you. I might not be the fighter that I used to be, but I want to fight for you under your command. And she agrees. Jorah then arrives to talk to Dany to discuss Tyrion, because Jorah believes that Tyrion's a good hand and advises her to keep him as the hand, because a lot of people she has in her are fighters for her, but she'll need a good mind after all this, and he's always best with his mind. He also asks you another favor. I'm not sure what that favor is, but I could be in the next scene where he says we see Dany go talk to Sansa, maybe to make peace with the North. So Dany goes to meet with Sansa. It seems like she wants to squash tension between them with respect to Jon and the North. They come to a stalemate when it comes to the part where Sansa says, what about the North after the war? And then they're interrupted because this is the moment I almost teared up on. This is actually the only moment that I almost teared up on. Because Theon returned and he reports back that Yara couldn't make it because she didn't have enough ships, but she's taking back the Iron Islands for her name, for Dany's name. Then Dany asks, why did you come back? And then he looks at Sansa and goes, I came back to fight for Winterfell if you'll have me. And she doesn't even respond. She just runs into his arms with tears in her eyes and hugs. And then you see a look on Dany's face like, wow, these people like actually have people who are loyal to them, like regardless of whatever is happening. Yeah, I mean, this moment, I'm a huge fan of Reek. I think I tweeted right when this happened, this reeked of awesomeness. But yeah, I love Theon and all the moments. But the next scene, I'm pretty sure got someone in the chat probably choked up, was when Davos is serving food outside Winterfell to the commoners here. And a special young girl comes up with, I don't think it's grayscale, it's just a scar, probably maybe burnt on her face. Yeah. Face is just burned. But that reminds her of Shireen. Reminds him of Shireen. And she says she wants to fight alongside the soldiers because she is strong and she wants to fight. But then Gilly comes in and says, you know what? I need a fighter like you to protect me in the crypts. And there's such a beautiful scene, and she's like, I'll be there. I'll fight for you in the crypt. I'll defend you. It's just a lovely scene. I love that. And Davos, just the whole interaction here. Like we said, like Kimber saying it earlier, these are the moments that you're going to remember because you might not see all these characters, after next week's episode or after, when the show ends too. Like you'll remember.
You definitely won't see all of them. That's the thing. Guaranteed. So but I have feelings. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, no, go. This is your time because I got to do my thing again.
Okay, cool. So I really loved that scene with Jaime and Tyrion. I thought that was like very reminiscent of old conversations they used to have. But I liked even more the one with Jaime and Brienne. And why I did is because they remind me so much of the Hound and Arya's dynamic sometimes. And we have like a kind of very similar short scene that's like a, kind of like I'm going to fight. I fought for you. Like I'm going to fight for you kind of, sentiment that they have here. And I thought that it was really great from both of them because I like those two partnerships. They have something very different to offer for each other, each one of those people in the pairs. And I thought that was like nice bookends, the conversation with Jaime and Brienne here, and then later on with the Hound and Arya, even though that one's very short. I also was a big fan of the conversation between Sansa and Dany. Like that gave me the feels. Tom was with it too. We were like, this is nice, even though it did get a little awkward towards the end because they made a lot of, Dany in particular, made a lot of really good points at the beginning, but you can't throw away what Sansa has to say here because this is exactly what Dany's been saying the entire time. Did you want to say anything about that scene?
No, I agree. They're both justifying their claim to the land based on their ancestors having it and then they're taking away. And Sansa's claim is better, but because the Starks had that for how long with the First Men before? But,
yeah, like Dany has to understand that because that's what Dany's been saying about the Seven Kingdoms the whole time. And I heard a lot of people not understanding the bond that Sansa and Theon have. And what you got to understand about Sansa and Theon is they have a really strong bond because they were both abused horribly by the same person. So they have this connection where they're the only two people who can really understand what it was like to survive abuse at the hands of Ramsay. So for the people who didn't understand why it was so emotional for them it's because they went through a lot of horrible shit, and they're the only other person on the planet who can really understand what it feels like to be in the position that they were in and who lived to talk about it. So I just wanted to say that too, because there seems like a lot of confusion about why it was so emotional between the two of them, and that's why it was so emotional.
And he, you know, these people he grew up with, you know, even though he betrayed them, he did grow up with them their entire life, for the most part, you know, so, or the majority of their life, I should say. So they do have a bond through that as well.
Well, his whole arc started with not knowing where he belonged, and he came back to Winterfell. He had the choice, and he came back.
Yeah, are you a Greyjoy or are you a Stark has always been the thing with him.
And he got Yara's blessing on it, which is even better.
We did have some newcomers since the last talk. We had Sky Inc. Welcome. Elise, welcome as well. I don't think did I miss anybody else? No. Yeah, so that was Are you a Stark or Greyjoy? And Johnny says you could be both. But it was great to see that, you know, Yara, like you said, Yara gave him the blessing to go and fight for Winterfell, for the Starks and all that. So that was great. But great scenes and great characters do return this episode. And that is when you see Dolores Ed come in to the Winterfell. However, as John is about to go, Ed, he is tackled by none other than Tormund. He's like, my little crow. That was so funny. Like, and then, you know, so John is reunited with Ed, Tormund, and Beric, who report to him about the Umbers and the Army of the Dead have taken the last hearth and are moving down. One important thing I forgot to mention, actually, let me go to my cam real quick. I hope Kimber can still hear this, because I think you guys probably noticed this too. But you could see a trend. So as the map is changing as each, because we already talked about it last week at the opening, the map changed. However, this time it's still changing because there's blue tiles that flip that monitor the traveling of the Army of the Dead. So they now got closer and engulfed the last hearth, and now it's moving halfway to Winterfell. And I guess after next episode, they'll be on Winterfell when it opens up. So it's really cool to see the evolving opening stream, opening scene.
So speaking of their movement on Westeros, there's a lot of people starting to say that the Night's King may be on his way to King's Landing. I think I'm adjusting my thing because now everyone else is jumping on my train. I think he might be going to Pike, because you would have to use a dragon to get there.
So what, is he making a fleet of the dead now too? Can they even sail?
No, but he just takes out that. You know what I mean? That's all your ships. Yeah. That's all your. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Say TJ scared that we'll lose Tormund. He'll die in Brienne's arms. And welcome Halo. Yeah. So I don't know. That would be quite the scene if he actually went to Pike. But you know, like we said, we saw the one dragon in Bran's vision, so that's why I thought he'd be going to King's Landing.
It could be both.
Yeah.
Maybe doing a wide.
Dragons do fly fast, apparently. Yeah. So yeah. So that I guess they all start meeting in the war room or whatever you want to call it to discuss how the defenses of Winterfell. And Bran finally kind of reveals the motive of the Night King. He says he's coming for me. He wants me. Because I'm the world's memory. You know, if you eliminate me, the world can't remember, really. And once they take me and then all you guys out, that's what death is, not remembering Sam, because Sam chimes in as well. So Bran wishes to be bait in the Godswood. And another great moment by my boy right here. Theon says, I will guard you. So this is kind of a callback to the season 1 when Robb, Bran, and Theon are hunting in the woods, and then, you know, Robb stops one or two of the wildlings, but one gets the upper hand on him and has Bran. You see that an arrow come out of nowhere, and it's Theon saving Bran. So it's kind of nice to see that Theon's going to be there for Bran as well. And then Dany orders Tyrion to the crypts because she goes, you know what, like I could fight, but it'd probably be better if I fought, you know, because the more men fighting, the better. But she goes, no, I need you for your mind. So that's kind of reasserting the fact that he's going to stay in her hand. Jon orders everyone to get some rest, and then he actually walks out on Dany because Dany kind of lingers back hoping to talk to him or whatever, but he just walks out on her as well. Tyrion stays back because he wants to hear Bran's story. He says, someone made a funny meme about this, like, oh, you're so weird. Like, I'm the only one who's going to ask you why you're so weird or whatever. But Yeah, so Tyrion stays back to hear Bran's story. I really wish I could have heard some of this conversation just to see how he explains it to other people. Because all he says is, I'm the three-eyed raven. I'm no longer Bran, kind of thing. He never really explains the story behind it. So, I mean, we've seen it.
Tyrion likes cripples, bastards, and broken things, and I think it's pretty easy to say that Bran is a broken thing at this point in the show.
Not even cripple. You jumped up a tier.
Our next scene is, let me see my notes. Yeah, Grey Worm walking outside. You see Missandei trying to warm herself to the locals, but that's to no avail. They kind of get scared and walk away from her. Grey Worm then asks her, "Is this what you want? Like, is this what you want to live in here? Like, live with the queen, whatever you want to do?" She goes, "Actually, I want to go back to North and see my land, walk the beaches one more time, and all that." And he goes, "I'll promise to take my men and myself and get you there. That's my promise to you." The next scene's on the ramparts of Winterfell, and we get a ghost sighting. There he is, back. I don't know where he's been this entire time. I know we know it's the budgeting issues and all that, but there's Ghost. He's alongside Jon as well as Sam. Dolores joins them, and they reminisce on their time in the Night's Watch, saying, "Hey, we were, at Castle Black, saying, we were the three of the five, I guess, with Pip and Gren, and now it's just us." And then you hear Ed deliver one of his most powerful lines I think he's ever given in the show, saying like, "The last one of us should burn us all," or "The last one dead burns us all," or something like that. But it was a great line that he delivered there, saying, whoever, obviously if you die, you're gonna become a white, so we should burn each other. Jaime and Tyrion are in the one of the halls drinking, and Tyrion's like, "I wish Father was here to see us," and Jaime looks at him like, "Why?" Like, he's like, "Because I want him to see us fighting for the Starks, fighting alongside the Starks for the Starks." Then they're joined by a bunch of other people, such as Podrick and Brienne. Tormund comes in. Davos also comes in, and they're all just... Tormund provides some levity by telling how he got his name and how he drinks giant's milk and all that. What do you guys think about the levity that he brought? I mean, I think he was a great character this episode. He brought a lot of humor, because the first thing he asked when he also got to Winterfell was like, "Is the big lady still here?" kind of thing. Like, he's just a great comedic relief, more so than how I called Jon comedic relief last week, but it wasn't in a good way. Tormund is great at what he does, like the actor and all that. How did you guys find this from when the Tormund all of them show up until this scene right here?
Well, first of all, I think Sam has the best joke of the entire episode, but that's a separate issue with his sick burn with like calling you fucked wouldn't be
oh yeah,
that's
accurate.
Like, yeah, that's my favorite one. But my friend James was talking to me about this, and he says that Tormund is like a walking meme now, but we're not mad at it. Like, I think it's funny, and this dude just really sells it, and there's something really charming about him doing this whole shtick. And to me, it's like an extra layer of funny, just because, like, in his mind, this is how he's like trying to seduce Brienne, or like pull her attention away from this like rich, handsome dude who's obviously like could be a rival to her affection, and like this is what he goes with. And to me, it's so funny, because you're like, yeah, like, this dude's a wildling. This might have worked in his setting, but it's not going to work for her. But I love it. I love Tormund, and the actor's so wonderful.
But at the same time, because he's a wildling, he challenges the norms that, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, we watch Game of Thrones, and they were talking about how Tormund's wearing fur pelts, but he's still down to throw away the patriarchy or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
I think they
so
said something
funny.
about crashing through the dragon glass
Oh my
ceiling.
God, yeah.
I liked that too. But yeah, we love Tormund. We're big fans of him. I know he's one of Morgan's favorites as well, so I'll shout that out for Morgan since he's not here right now.
Well, because his other favorite's dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Tom, any other thoughts about what we talked about from when the Night's Watch, Dolores said, Tormund, all them show up to the scene where they start drinking around the fire?
Just to talk on Tormund again, if anyone's going to be cracking jokes and stuff, it's going to be him, because like this is the kind of environment he thrives on, and I really think that it's a strong character move. I also really did enjoy the look on Jaime's face when Tyrion said, "I wish Father was here." That was great.
Oh, actually, welcome Zalomon as well. Vicky's asking you think Tormund's gonna survive?
No.
I think in my headcanon, if Jon is king, I don't know if he's gonna get that far. If he's king, I would love to see Tormund on the King's Guard. So in my
In your
headspace,
headcanon, yeah.
yes, it's gonna be fine. He's gonna be wearing a cape.
I think none of these characters have plot immunity except for maybe Samwell Tarly, if you are like me and like the idea that he's writing these stories after the story is done, which is a popular fan theory at this point. Anyone else could be going down, and I think a lot of them are going to go down next week, particularly since we're already halfway through the season. It's going to be a slaughter. So will it be Tormund next episode? It could be. I think a lot of people are amazed that Tormund had survived this much. So
Yeah.
as much as I love him, I don't know if he's going to be one of the people who's standing.
When he got pulled through the water, like in the north of the wall, everyone thought he was gonna die there when he's getting pulled in. So we only lost a few red shirts and Thoros Mir back then, but now all bets are off. But yeah, I do agree with you. Like that's why Sam, when he was in the Citadel, he goes, I would have thought of something more poetic, because he's like the history of from the battle of the Trident until now, or whatever. That's what the Maester was saying, and he's like, Archmaester was saying, he's like, no, I would have thought of something more poetic, knowing it to be the Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, yeah.
You bring up that we're missing the red priest, so everyone's on the table. But a big theory too is that a bunch of red priests are coming around the mountain. Because Melisandre did say she has to die in this strange land. So
yeah, people think Melisandre might come back like Gandalf style.
Maybe we'll get a double resurrect. Who knows?
Some eagles, yeah. But Rochelle brought up a good point. She goes, I think the Night King wants Bran dead because he forgot who the Night King really is. Because Bran's supposed to know everything. Maybe Bran, maybe he'll eventually reveal Bran knows some missing piece of information. Because remember, he had the missing piece of information about Jon. His heritage, but he didn't really pull it. He didn't tap into it until Sam's like telling him about it. So maybe he has that information somewhere in his head. He just hasn't thought about it, and that's why the Night King wants to eliminate that altogether. So maybe that's a good point that Rochelle makes in the thing. Look east for Melisandre. That's another thing. Eric actually, I think DM'd me, or I think he's tweeted at me. Was that Melisandre going into the crypts because he saw an old decrepit woman going in? That could have been without necklace Melisandre. I looked for her again. I didn't see her. So Eric, if you could send me a text of that picture or DM me that picture that you're talking about where you see her. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, he's saying it again right now. So if you send me a picture of that, I'd love to see it. But that'd be cool if she comes back with all these priests and priestesses and just resurrecting people left and right. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, remember we saw that one priestess who freaked out Varys back in season, was it like 5 or 6? I thought she was going to become an important character, but she ended up not being one, but we'll see. Yeah, so I mean, any last thoughts about that from up to the drinking scene?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So we have a few slides, and then we got to take another break. Another slide, because I'm just trying to break into little stories, so we don't get cut through. Because I can only put a certain amount of images on my little slide ticker here. Then we see on the ramparts another conversation between the Hound and Arya, and that she just comes and sits next to him, and he goes, "What's wrong with you? All you used to do is talk, and now you can't. Now you're just like a mute." She goes, "People change, or maybe I changed, or something." And then she goes like, "Why are you here? Like, why? And I think he thought, why are you drinking here up here?" But he's like, "No, why are you here fighting for us?" And he goes, "You don't fight for anybody." He goes, "I fought for you, didn't I?" Which is a great. I think Kimber mentioned that earlier. That was a great line as well. Another great delivered one line. He goes, "I fought for you, didn't I?" And not only he doesn't also mention, but we know that he promised to try to get Sansa out of Kingslaying. That the day of the Battle of Blackwater, he tried to get her out, saying, "He's like, I'll take you out of here, little bird," but she didn't trust him. And then Beric shows up and starts talking about his Red Priest stuff and the Lord of Light, and Arya's like, "You know what? I'm not spending my last night on Earth with you two miserable people." And so she finds someone else to spend it with, and that she goes on to Genji actually finds her and brings her the staff that she wanted to be designed.
He brought her the staff, all right.
Yeah, more than one. So then, yeah, she goes, "How many girls have you been? Like, what did the Red Priest do to you, and all that? And how many girls have you been with?" And then he's like, "I don't want my last night. I don't want to die like a virgin." And then so they have sex. The next scene is that Tyrion believes it's strange. They're sitting all around the campfire, what do you call that thing? A fireplace. And they're saying it's all strange that we all once fought the Starks, now we're fighting for the Starks. And Tyrion talks about how he thinks they're going to survive because he recalls all the victories. And it's about something, I think Tom also mentioned this. Maybe Rob mentioned this. Vicky's boyfriend mentioned this to me. But I know Tom and I have spoken about it before as well. But Tyrion goes through and says, listen, I've won at Blackwater. I also won at, I forgot the battle that he won where he first got the name Half Man from the Storm Crows and all those, the Moon people and all those people. I remember when he gets knocked out in the first 5 seconds by an axe that he still ends up winning because he's knocked out on the ground. In the first battle, he won that one as well. Jaime Lannister won, tons of battles. Brienne is beaten. And Davos has won the Battle of the Bastards as well as Blackwater. Tormund's won countless battles as well. And but Jaime says, but I didn't lose Whispering Woods. So that's another, reference to hey, show them one thing, but go another way, kind of like a play action. So that's, that's Rob was talking about that, and I think Tom and I talked about that before. And Tyrion goes, Lady Brienne, you've beaten the Hound in single combat, and he goes, I think something about being a knight, not being a knight or whatever. I think he refers to her Sir Brienne first, but he goes, no, I mean Lady Brienne, I'm sorry. And Tormund goes, what? You're not a knight? And then he goes, women can't be knights. He goes, I'd make you a knight 10 times over, or whatever he says is so funny. And then he goes, if I was a king, I would make you a knight 10 times over. And then Jaime goes, that's not the rule. You don't have to be a king to make it a knight. You just need another sworn knight. And obviously Jaime is a sworn knight. So then he does the whole ritual where it's for the father, or by the father, I ask you to protect, or by the warrior, I ask you to be strong. By the father, I ask you to be just. And then by the mother, I ask you to protect the innocent. And then arise, Sir Brienne, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. That was a great moment as well. And the best part of that, right there, is clapping.
That's how I felt.
So happy. Everyone's clapping, saying the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And it was great. The funny thing, before this episode started, I was thinking in my head, I think I showered right before this episode, and I was thinking, because in the shower I think a lot, and I was thinking, how come, or will we ever see a moment between Ser Jorah and Lyanna Mormont? And that's what happens to be the next scene. We see them talking about the future of their family, because she's like, you have to survive because you're noble, you're lady, and the future of the house is with you. He's like, no, I'm going to fight because that's what I promised to do. I'm going to fight. And she goes, and she's like, and some people are always some people weren't sure what their relationship is. So I think just for fan service, she goes, I wish you good fortune, cousin. And then she walks away because Sam comes to interrupt, and he's, I didn't mean to interrupt, but she goes, we're done here. And then, I think Tom might have called this, or I don't know who called this last season, but saying Heartsbane was going to go to Ser Jorah. And here it is. That's him giving a Valyrian steel sword to Ser Jorah, the Tarly family sword, ancestral sword.
Jorah's screwed.
Yep.
Lose a sword, get a sword. Jorah's storyline is over. He's just going to die defending Dany now. That's it.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. Jorah, Jorah's got to die, but
we'll see.
So what about these moments? So we have from when Arya is with the Hound up at the ramparts of Winterfell until when the Sam gives Jorah the sword. What did you guys think of all the moments from now until then?
So the thing with Tormund was great at the end of the ceremony, but I also like to think of it as he's never seen anything like this before. So I just I want to be a fly in his brain. So just to see.
Fly in his brain.
Well, I want to know what he's thinking about the whole thing. Does he think it's silly? Does he is it a big moment for him? It looks like a big moment for him, but I want to know what he's thinking. But it would be an entirely different show if there was internal monologue.
Yeah, then people would have known that Sansa's been smart since the beginning of the show. I wanted to speak on the sex scene really quick because it was obviously controversial since we've seen her grow up since she was a small child, and I get that feeling that a lot of people were grossed out by it, and I get it because she's like a little sister to us. But she's only 2 years younger in real life than Dany was when the show started, and we saw all of Dany many times. So I don't think it's that skeevy. She's 22. I also thought it was really done tastefully, like Tom said. They kept it classy. I honestly think they showed so much side boob so that you can see that Maisie Williams, although she has a really young baby face appearance, is a woman and has a womanly body underneath the armor and such. And I thought it was really empowering to see, for the first time probably since John and Ygritte hooked up, a consensual, non-incestuous scene where the female was in control. She was the one who was assertive. And and on top of that, literally and metaphorically. So I did like this scene. It made a lot of sense to me. And I think probably in real life, a lot more of those characters would be trying to hook up on what they think is the last night on Earth. I know Tormund, he shot that too. But I thought that scene was great, and it was nice to see her have more of a human moment, because she doesn't get very many of those. She's been pretty hard on her quest from the beginning. And obviously I have feelings about Brienne's knighting scene. I love the episode title. It's a shout out to fans who know the books, because the Duncan the Tall stuff, who it's canon that he's related to Brienne of Tarth, those stories are called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, hence the title of the episode. But this was just really beautiful. This is going to go down in my favorite moments of the show, period. I was crying my eyes out. I was looking at that smile on her face, and I felt the same way that she looked there. Because as much as she never wanted to admit that she wanted to be a knight, she's always wanted to be a knight, and she's the best damn knight on the whole show. And when he was saying the vows, like, you know, you have to do this, do that, she's been doing those things the entire time, and is one of the few people who has. And she's just wonderful, and I'm really going to miss her character when they inevitably kill her next week.
I just want to comment on when I made the thumbnail. I made Jamie in the thumbnail, but Knight of the Seven Kingdoms obviously refers to Brienne, but I didn't want to spoil it for anybody. So if anyone's like, why is it Jamie? I have reasons.
Grey Worm and Missandei hooking up is another scene like that, and I fully agree with you, actually. Sorry.
I knew it. Like, I knew that. I was like, oh, a thumbnail with Brienne would be good, but that would be a spoiler for people, so we should do that. So yeah, that was great. But another thing is, like, if you hear it just phonetically, because we know it's spelled a knight, a K-N-I-G-H-T, but, you know, even looking at it more open, like, if you just hear it saying, oh, the episode called Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, look at all the people from different kingdoms who've united here under Winterfell, and you see them throughout, like, you know, even from north of the Wall, from the Reach, from, you know, everywhere, you know, like the West, the East, and all that kind of stuff. They all united in one spot, and you see their stories, you know, throughout that entire night. And that's just another way to look at it. I know it's spelled K-N-I-G-H-T, but if you just hear it, you can think of how,
Or it's a reference to the Long Night, like, since this is supposedly the second coming of the Long Night. I like where your head's at on that.
But, I think we're going to be talking about this episode, like, maybe for we'll get a lot of moments from this episode, because I really enjoyed a lot of these moments. And, you know, we've been saying this like every week too, like from like the episode where John and them go to the north of the Wall to get the White Walker and all that, or the White, I should say. There's always those moments between characters, and people want the fighting and all that, but you have to appreciate these moments, because a lot of it's character building, and we've watched these characters through 8 seasons, almost 8 seasons, you know, 7.5 at this point, pretty much. It's these moments, man, you're going to have to remember that these are such great, great moments. Not just the fighting, not the sex, not like the politics, just how these relationships evolved from day one.
I mean, we'll remember the sex too. Let's be real.
Yeah, the sex too. Yeah.
Even Danny in the show is marveling at how connected and how like well known these characters are, and that's how we feel. Like, we know these characters, and I really like that. I know it's a throwback to a few scenes ago, but.
All right. Any other thoughts before we move to the final part of this? The last kind of few slides about this episode.
Oh no, I'm ready to talk about the next part.
Yeah. So I knew you guys. I would leave this to you guys when we talk about it, but I think Tyrion goes, I didn't even know a song, and then he goes through everyone in the room, and I think we knew that Podrick could sing before. I think he had another scene earlier, possibly, where he sang a song. I think, but I knew he could sing for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I saw a YouTube video of him singing or something. But Podrick sings a song, Jenny's song. And it's just, it's playing over all people. They're showing all the people in Winterfell and all the main characters. You have Sam and Gilly with little Sam. We have Theon and Sansa. And remember, she's singing a song over all this. And this, a lot of these next few little images kind of brought up a lot of memes also as well. Because there's humor in some of this that people see humor in this. But this is like one of the scenes that brought up humor. The next one is definitely one that brought up humor. I think Kimber actually posted it on Twitter with Arya looking out like this way. We have Missandei and Grey Worm. And then Jorah riding out, what might be for the last time, looking out and getting ready because he's pretty much on the vanguard in the front lines, ready to fight. And the song ends, with never to see her again. Well, I don't forget the exact words, but never to see her again, wherever. I was going to look it up before, but I was busy with school stuff and all that. But it ends with it showing Dany walking in. The song fades out with Dany, meaning it's possibly referring to Dany. Dany meets Jon in the crypts of Winterfell. And they're overlooking Lyanna's statue, not Rihanna, because it's Rihanna's weird. Lyanna's statue.
Somebody make that meme, please.
Lyanna's statue. And he goes, I can't believe, well, you think of Rhaegar and Lyanna, you get Rihanna, right? That would be their ship name.
R plus L equals Rihanna.
Yeah. And he goes, I can't believe Rhaegar raped her. And he goes, he didn't. Jon tells her the truth. He loved her. And he reveals his true heritage, They got wed in secret. They had a baby. She died in childbirth. The baby was given to her brother. The brother raised him as a bastard. My real name is Aegon Targaryen. And she goes, well, she's like in disbelief, and she questioned the verity of the secret, saying like, well, how do you know this? Who told you? He goes, well, Bran and Sam. He goes, so your best friend and your brother. How convenient. And then obviously, if you guys are Game of Thrones fans and fans of the Night's Watch, you guys know that when a horn sounds, you got to count how many times it blows. You heard 3 horns. 3 horns can only mean one thing because 1 horn is a ranger returning, 2 is wildlings, 3 is something else. And 3 horns are blown, and we see the army of the dead arrive at Winterfell.
The awesome music.
And they're missing a key figure because they don't show the Night King or Viserion. So
I know where he's going.
He's underground.
No,
he's tunneling.
He's going to Whispering Woods them hardcore.
I mean, in the books, there is a dragon under Winterfell.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
So your thoughts on this final set of pictures that we talked about here?
Okay, so this is when the show turned full-blown into Lord of the Rings, and I was in love with it. Because the scene with Podrick singing was straight up like the scene with Pippin singing in the Lord of the Rings, and like even the way they were showing like where the characters are at that moment and everything, like it was full blown Lord of the Rings, as well as the scene with them like setting up everything with the voiceover from Jon, like that's straight up Helm's Deep, and I'm really excited about it. I'm not like one of those people that's gonna be like, oh, it was like Lord of the Rings, that's lame. I'm gonna be one of those people that's like, George R.R. Martin loved Tolkien. That's his biggest influence in this entire thing. It's really awesome that they did an homage to Helm's Deep in this, especially when the next episode is set to unseat Helm's Deep as like the biggest fantasy battle of all time. They said it's the longest running consecutive battle scene ever set to film. So it's going to be crazy next week. It's like an hour and a half long, and it's pretty much going to be all battle from what I understand.
Have they seen Hardcore Henry?
But I loved this. Just like as a Lord of the Rings fan, all I could think of was Lord of the Rings in this, and it was like the coolest ever to me. It's like what I would have done if I were writing the show in that moment. It was beautiful.
122 minutes, Eric's saying. Tom, your thoughts on these scenes and the song, maybe?
Well, the second version of the song at the end, sung by Florence and the Machine, was awesome. I've listened to it probably like 10 times at work in the past couple of days. I'm just ready. I'm ready. My body is ready. Wake me up when Saturday ends.
It is panning out to be one of the greatest episodes in TV history, and like all these episodes, mind you, are setting records for how they're being watched. And not like Super Bowl records. Not I was thinking that because I actually Googled it to see how many people are watching it and stuff, and it's like the 28 million and stuff. But Super Bowls get like a lot more than that. But that's one day. That's one day in a whole year, right? Another thing that that has the crown is the MASH series finale, right? That's the most watched episode of a show ever in the history of mankind. But you got to think about it. Back then, there weren't this many channels. There's not this many ways to watch things. You could only really watch that series finale once when it aired, and you had a choice of like 7 channels, right? 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13, or whatever it was back then. I know it's different for you guys number-wise, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are the statistics counting like all the people that are pirating it too? Because that would probably
no, it's not. Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say. Yeah, they don't count the pirates either. So it is huge. Like this is definitely setting records for its time right now. But if you think about it back then, like this probably would be like one of the probably most watched things ever. So it's gonna make their own champions, and their it could be the champion of all TV shows. But with that said, we got to discuss who our champion is of the episode. So I'm going to go to Lord Tom first this time. Tom, who is your champion of the episode?
My champion, Sansa.
Why Sansa?
Because she's not playing any games. She's like Danny definitely went in there trying to win her over with charm and stuff. And she's like, okay, yeah, no, I can be charming too. But what about the North? And I just love that she's not afraid of Danny despite the dragons and all that.
Cool.
All right. And Lady Kimber, who is your champion? I think I might have an idea, but
my champion is the champion of the episode, who the episode is named after, who the biggest moment of the episode was, and that's Sir Brienne of Tarth. One of my all-time favorite characters, and it was so amazing to, like, I'm gonna get choked up, I have to be careful, but it was so amazing to see her in a room, this person who has been treated horribly her whole life and underappreciated, being appreciated genuinely and wholeheartedly by a group of people who understand what she's been through and how much she has to offer in this world, and to see them all standing up and cheering for her and having her reach her goal that, whether she would like to admit it or not, has been her goal her entire life, was beautiful and amazing, and it's definitely her episode.
Yeah, she had a wonderful episode. Her story arc for the episode was great. I mean, her story completely has been great. So that might come back to when we go do our final ever episode of this, talking about the show. Maybe that might be one of your characters. But in the chat, we have people say, Eric saying that Brienne also is his champion. Rochelle says Arya is our champion of this episode. So that's interesting. Arya, though, was not much in the episode. She did have
I mean, she did a momentous thing in her life.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Genshi's dinner.
For me, my champion of the episode will have to go to, I think, Tormund. Tormund really sold this episode. I thought he was really funny. I also have to, just for humor's sake, he really sold this episode, but like the love he has in his eyes for Brienne and all that is great to see. Just the love he has for everybody. When he first saw Jon, how he just embraces him and all that. Like, he's fun to watch. But if I did it to like somebody who did something meaningful this episode as well, I'd have to give it to, for 2 weeks in a row, actually, I'd have to give it to Theon. Theon just coming back to fight for Sansa and that embrace that they share, as well as him saying, I'm going to defend you, Bran, no matter what. At the Gods would, I'll be there for you. Those 2 moments also would give to me. I would give to him. All right. So that's going to bring us up to our other favorite, our shame bell. So members, make sure you pause for that shame bell. And this time I'm going to start with Lady Kimber. Lady Kimber, who are you going to ring the shame bell on this week?
I ring the shame bell for Ghost.
Ghost? Shame.
Finally, we see Ghost is back, and he literally just stands there stiff as a board in the background for like 20 seconds just to be like, okay, just so you guys know who are making all the memes, Danny's not wearing Ghost as a coat. He's here. There it is. So it was a little lame.
Cardboard cutout.
Like, it was a little lame to see.
Turn his head a little bit.
Yeah, he was just stagnant. He wasn't doing anything, and he wasn't used. He was just there as like background noise. It was
I would have preferred if he like ran through Winterfell and we followed him for a second.
Just anything.
Yeah. So Tom, who are you ringing the shame bell for this week?
Aegon.
Shame.
Victoria is saying exactly what I'm about to say. Why reveal? Like, you can say, yeah, no, that story's not true about your brother. I'll tell you after the war. Like, I know that's a very Ned thing to do, but why do it now?
And he was super chilly to Dany, like all episode 2.
I can understand that too, because while Targaryens are cool with like, granted it's not twin brother and sister, but while they're close to like family ties, Starks are not. So he may have been having like an issue with that.
He handled the whole thing poorly. I'm with your shame.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's the right way to handle that? But
Not like that.
If you're with his shame, you're going to be with my shame too. For 2 weeks in a row, I'm giving my shame mail to Jon Snow as well, or Aegon.
who's Jon Snow?
Shame.
Shame. Aegon Targaryen the 6th. Oh my God. Why do you reveal exactly what Vicky said in the chat to Dany right before the war? I can be the king if we win this. Like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? And plus, you know, how he's been acting. So definitely my shame mail goes to Aegon Targaryen the 6th. Hey, Auntie. Yeah. Killmonger should have came in with a little meme. Hey, Auntie. I think they did make a meme of that as well. And Eric, of course, ringing the shame bell again on the show for delaying Stannis' return. Halo didn't even notice Ghost was there.
Exactly.
Maybe
That's the problem.
Maybe because he's a ghost, guys.
Yeah,
There, you
spooky.
don't see him.
He's been there the whole time.
If you guys listen in the distance, I think you guys could probably hear that familiar sound that we hear around this time. There it is.
They're
It's
back.
from Castle Black, and that can only signal the return of our Maester from across the narrow sea, our Maester Jeff. Welcome back, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Not bad, not bad. How did you find this episode? Did you enjoy it?
I absolutely adored this episode. I want to echo what Kimber was saying a second ago about how toward the end, it seemed like a really good homage to Lord of the Rings. I don't think that it necessarily was what people were complaining about in the sense that it had ripped off Lord of the Rings. I think that it was just a beautiful echoing of that in some way. But also with Kimber, I need to say how she gave the shame bell to Ghost. My little birds figured out where Ghost has been all this time.
Oh, do tell.
He actually went on a very secret mission all the way over here to Essos, where he found the very rare Dothraki saber cat, and he mated with it. There was only one cub from this.
Oh,
He's right here.
that's cute.
But
It's
yes,
an abomination.
it is an abomination.
Friend.
But I agree that it was so lame to just have him in the corner and not even say anything about it. John didn't even turn around. Did John even know Ghost was there? I don't know.
Maybe
Something behind me.
So-
we don't know. It could have been with him all day.
Yeah.
So what do you have to report from Essos in your Maester duty?
Well, the scroll arrived, and once again, I have to say that Eric seems to be a soothsayer. He seems to know how things are going to come out before they do. The poll was, what was Jaime's fate going to be in that little king's moot that took place? And did you notice the placement of where they were sitting at the high table? Last week, Jon was in the middle, and then this time, Dany was in the middle. I thought maybe that was just a subtle hint.
They also
that
gave him a title. Now they're calling him Lord of the North.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, in the poll, 17% said that he would bend the knee, which I never thought was a possibility of any kind. Then 39% said he was dead. He was going to die right there, which I thought would have been hysterical if it actually happened. Then 43%. Come on, that would have been great. That would have been so great.
No.
But 43% said it was the bargain.
It was no, I'm kidding.
But yeah, Eric nailed it. He guessed it. Not only did he get it, but he got it too correctly. Eric said that Brienne would testify on his behalf and save him, which is exactly what happened. So I don't know about that. That makes me a little nervous.
Eric's my champion this week. I changed my mind.
Yeah. Eric did say in the chat that he saw it in the flames, so that could be what happened.
He predicted your victory.
He does. He knows these things.
Mm-hmm.
That is very true. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what did you guys vote for? Because I voted for that he would be pardoned.
I assumed that he was going to get pardoned. I hoped that Brienne was going to be involved, but I thought that there was going to be more from Bran, actually, in the conversation. He took a little dig at Jaime, saying the things we do for love, but he didn't give a whole lot of context to anyone else. So did he know that Brienne was going to step up on his behalf? Because from what I can tell, Jaime is going to be pivotal next week. Whether he gives his life or not, he's going to be pivotal to what happens.
I saw that less as a dig and more as an understanding. He ever said it in the Godswood, you did it for your family. Like,
right.
The things we do for love.
Yeah.
I think he's just spooky. I thought about making him the Shave Bell this week. I don't understand the Bran thing, but I thought maybe Tyrion would be the one who would save him, and Tyrion did try, but at this point, the writers, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Tyrion. They're making him so dumb this season. It's pissing me off a little bit. But
don't you think that they're setting him up for a very brilliant end?
Yeah.
They better be, man.
He can't go out that way.
Yeah. Well, I still think, you know me, I've been on the him and Sansa are going to end up ruling together wagon, but I think he's okay for now, and that's why they're putting him in hiding. But we'll see, because I don't know how safe the crypts are going to end up being. But I thought maybe Tyrion would try to defend Jaime, but I knew for sure Jaime wasn't going to die here in this episode. Mm-hmm. They need him for later on. I think that Jaime's probably Azor Ahai, personally. And
really? Jaime?
Yeah. Jaime is where I'm at for Azor Ahai at this point.
I never thought about that.
I knew he would survive. I just wasn't sure exactly how.
Sir Pounce.
Sir Pounce is gone.
Yeah.
Tom, how'd you think about the poll? How'd you go? Did you vote?
I voted that he died as a joke. I didn't think he was gonna die, but honestly, I thought
you just do it to bug Cal.
Maybe. I had a feeling that somebody would definitely step up, and then I think I read Eric's comment on Twitter, and I was like, okay, yeah. So.
Yeah. I thought, like you guys, I thought it would be either Brienne or. Yeah.
Eric brings up a good point, and I like this. What about the comment he makes about if he comes back to life, he's going to kill Cersei?
Tyrion. I liked it. It's not going to happen, but that would be cool.
Yeah, that is going to be a future poll, probably before the final episode. I think that's going to be the poll in the last episode. But speaking of polls, I changed the format because I used to have it on Wednesday right before the show start, and then end right before the show as well. But now I'm going to do it just so that people can't cheat. Not saying Eric cheated at all, because I know Eric sees in the flames, but other people who wait till the end, because I see a lot right after Sunday's episode, a lot of them vote. I see a lot more votes. I'm like, what? And they're always the right answer too. So I'm going to make it so that they start right after the episode ends for the next week's poll, and it'll end right before the week after its episode starts. So it basically goes from 10 p.m. till 9 p.m. the next week, the new polls. So we do have this week's poll up. The new poll coming for this week's episode, and it will end right before episode 3 airs at 9 p.m. Eastern. So, Jeff, would you like to let us know what this next week's poll is?
Yes, it's. I really like this poll a lot. They've been mentioning a lot about the crypt, and people are starting to have theories that if the Night King gets in there, he could raise some of the dead to fight our heroes. So the poll is, if he does do that, who will he raise?
It doesn't have
that are down there.
It doesn't have to just be the Night King. It could be any of the White Walkers.
Yeah, any of the White Walkers. Yeah. So,
and also, I don't know. They barely touched it. But when Bran and them escaped through the crypts the first time, they took those swords off the crypts, and I would really like if those bodies came out, because the whole idea is that those swords are supposed to keep the spirits out of the body. Mm-hmm. That's the Stark mythology if you read into it.
Oh, okay. I didn't
know. I would love if those, but there's no way to, I don't know if to actually people would remember that those are those like crypts and stuff like
I don't
that.
know if they've ever talked about the swords.
Yeah, I would like just even if they didn't do it, if the swords, if the people who did rise didn't have swords on their crypts, I'd love it.
Can you guys refresh my memory? Did they burn Ned's body to become the bones, or did they just flay it?
No, he was decapitated, and he should have his pieces, but his head isn't attached to his body.
I think
they burned his bones back or something. They said, because I remember they said the bones back, but they didn't get his sword back.
They could always use bones as a term too, as like corpse or remains.
Yeah.
That is true. All right, so before we wrap up, what's your vote? I'm gonna go from left to right. Starting with Jeff first. What do you think for this poll? What's your vote?
Well, one of the options in the poll is Lady Stoneheart, which I really don't know if the show would go in that direction, especially this late in the game. But man, it would be cool if they did.
So that's right.
That would be my pick.
It's a wishful vote. Okay.
Yeah.
Kimber.
What were the options?
Ladies, Jeff, you have it in front of you?
Lady Stoneheart, Bran, not Bran, sorry. Lady Stoneheart, Rickon, and then who was the third one? I can't remember.
Rob? Maybe Rob?
Rob, yeah, Rob.
And then
Stoneheart. Stoneheart would be awesome. Even if they're not explicit or call her Stoneheart or anything, that would be the coolest Easter egg they could give to us, because they teased us the entire time with Stoneheart.
Well, and that, speaking on that, I have to mention that my wife was saying in the promos we've seen, we have seen Arya running down there, and she looks scared out of her mind.
I think someone says the dead are already
her?
here, too.
Yeah. It's like, what could scare Arya more than a wight of her mother?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I thought season 4 would end with her too, Eric. Someone, I think Elise sent me a picture of that, and it shows the Night King's outline in the background. It could be photoshopped, I don't know, when they did graphical enhancement, but I don't know. But that'd be awesome if it is Lady Stoneheart. Tom, your vote.
I would vote for all of them. I would go onto multiple accounts because I think that all of them are on the table. Not just one person's going to come back to terrorize everybody. I think because we've seen whites that are just bones. So like even Ned, like he's decapitated, but he's bones. So like whatever. They don't have clear rules. Like there's no brain, but yet it's weird with magic. But Headless Horseman, yeah, and Rob too. I was saying it'd be crazy if Rob came back with the wolf on its head and some kind of.
That would be so cool.
There's no way they would bury him with the wolf head.
No, they would not.
So,
did they bury him there? Did they ever get his body back?
Winterfell.
It did get there. Okay.
So yeah, I would like to see Lady Stoneheart as well. I think that would be awesome to see. Like that. That's great fan service.
It won't be Lady Stoneheart, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'd love to see it. Yeah, so like I said, the poll is up now. You'll be able to vote until Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's over on Night's Watch 2 on Twitter. But speaking of Twitters and all that stuff, let's go to wrapping it up with our promotions. So we'll start with our Maester. Thank you again for joining us, Jeff. And where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at jmasterpoet. I will try to be on Twitter.
You've been good about responding and all that. So you actually messaged me this morning about some stuff too. So that was, good way of keeping in touch with you.
Yeah. It's pretty much the only way to reach me here. So that and Messenger. So
because your phone's not working.
We're pretty cut off from the world. Yeah. But yeah, at jmasterpoet. That's where you can reach me.
All right. And Lord Tom and Lady Kimber of House Odd Shape Channel.
So we have a bunch of content over on Odd Shape Channel. We might be having a few things coming up on there. But you should also check out.
Yeah, I have a true crime channel now that I've been working on, Kimber Bennis. Yeah, I'm wearing the shirt. Tom wants me to show you. But you can get me over there on YouTube as well as on Twitter and Instagram at Kimberbatch_OSP.
Yep, and like as always, these people's links are all in the description below. Everyone we mentioned on today's show should be found there in the description right below this video. Make sure Kimber releases her videos every other Tuesday. She just released one yesterday about Satanism. So check it out. Satanism and pop culture, not just Satanism, period. Satanism, pop culture. So go check that out. As for me, I'm your host, Cal the Kingslayer. You can find me over here on YouTube on Kingslayer Network, as well as on Twitch, Kingslayer Network. or on Twitter at KingslayerNet. You can also hit up the Night's Watch Twitter at Night's Watch Tube, but you can always catch us every week here on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Next week we'll be talking about episode 3, which we'll probably call the Battle of Winterfell. We're not sure yet because they're very secretive about the titles. We can't also
The Massacre of Winterfell.
The massacre. We can't forget our title card and our artist of the show, Janine the Bean. So check her out at Twitter at Janine the Bean. And our theme, thank you to my cousin Shreepal at Shreeps Music on Twitter. Always love the people who have contributed to this show. Thank you so much for everything. But yeah, so we'll be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be returning to streaming finally, as long as school pending and all that, this Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, doing my normal Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, except on Wednesdays right now because of Night's Watch. So until then, guys, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much, everybody.